Chances are you or someone you know have or will experience chronic pain. I'm invested in working through that with people. I'm Lisa Kelly. I work at Spacious Corner Coaching, and I'm a grief coach. I specialize in people who are grieving in the workplace, who are struggling to get through their daily lives. And today I am joined by Victoria Herczek, who helps women release tension and live pain-free. Victoria is a former dancer turned body-mind well-being coach, and she's the founder of Body Mind Method. Born from healing from her own spinal injury after doctors told Victoria that she might never walk again without surgery. Victoria has lived nomadically for years. She's soaking in movement practices from around the world, from Russian ballet foundations through Argentinian tango to deep somatic work in nature. Victoria, welcome. Welcome to the show again, and let's begin with you sharing your experience with chronic pain.
Thank you, Lisa, for such an incredible introduction. And
Absolutely.
it's a joy to be here again.
I'm looking forward to our chat again. Last time we spoke a lot about how the body responds to external stimuli and how your mind is connected to that with you. It's in reverse. It's not the mind body, it's the body mind. What was the injury that you incurred? And you were a dancer and you had plans for the future, and then this happened.
I was already dancing since I was 5 years old. And then when I was 10 years old, I was just like, that's it. Like, I want to be a dancer. But you are an artist, so you are expected to standards. Perform as a professional athlete physically,
Mhm.
but also be an artist, be fully there for the art,
Mhm.
be in service. And these things don't go together well if there is no proper care, no proper education. So as a child, you are okay, like your body, you don't have to sleep, you undereat because there is a lot of demand of always losing weight, be very thin. So you were probably under, I was not eating enough, and I was constantly sleep deprived. And I just didn't know how to care for my body properly. So I was never properly recovering. My injury is not that something that just happened because of a bad step that I put and I slipped somewhere and you just break your bone or something like that.
Right.
This type of injury, was a slipped disc that was pressing over against my spinal cord nerve, which was causing the sciatica pain. And in the worst moment, it was already going all the way my leg, like up to my foot. So I was almost like I was already losing the control over my foot at some point. So that was the injury was a result of this compound. It was a compound effect of lack of knowledge about how to properly take care of my body. So it was all these years, and it started also before this moment where I couldn't get up from bed for months. um, I started to have some more innocent pains of just lower back. And first I couldn't move for one day, and then few months nothing, and then another day and something, and I moved badly or just slept crooked. Um, and then like 2 days I couldn't get out of bed, but then it just passed, and it was just like compounding for years. So it was just years of just not taking care of my body at all and just assuming that I'm immortal.
Right. And you were young still, so
Yeah, and that's why it worked
yeah.
until it
Didn't.
didn't.
It's so painful. It's so painful. And with sciatica and slip disc, herniated discs, you can hardly walk. And then laying down is uncomfortable, standing's uncomfortable. And so dancing would definitely be impossible, correct?
Yes,
Did-
I was
Yeah.
in the peak of the pain.
Mhm.
I even started to I even started to eat while walking because I couldn't sit, I couldn't lie.
Right.
So walking was somehow, I mean, just like doing anything. Luckily, I hardly can remember this worst moment. Um, but this is some things that I can recall. And definitely, as you just said, that's exactly how it was. And for quite some time, this excruciating pain that I thought would never stop. And it was going all the way to my brain. I was eating at some point painkillers, pills. And so obviously they would work less and less. They didn't even work to start from. They were only there to decrease the pain, not to let it go away completely. So that was
How long would you guess that this lasted?
probably like for 3 months until I found the physiotherapy, this holistic center that started to help me.
Discuss your mindset changes as time went on and you saw no improvement, and then you were on this medication. I'd like to probably discuss even grief and loss setting in at this time. What were your thoughts toward your body, and will I ever heal? Possibly would be one of them.
Yeah, when I was in the fire of this, I remember that I was only on the medication until I found this physiotherapy that started to work. And before I went to few doctors to some consultations, and the only thing they told me is you have to go to surgery. And that for me was just something, well, I just didn't accept it because that for me, my body was everything.
You didn't want to take a chance of a failed surgery.
Yes, on your spine.
Right.
So I remember I was crying
Mhm.
and I just was finding this force, this strength to just go and research something that will work. And I remember after third consultation at the specialist, at the doctor, who was like, "That's only surgery. This is just so bad." And I could see it because I did an MRI, and even with bare eye and not trained medical eye, that looked really bad. Like I could
You
say it
saw the
like that.
herniation.
I said, okay, I give myself 2 months,
Mhm.
and then if nothing works, then okay, maybe surgery is the only option. And it was just unbelievable, like losing everything, like the body, the
Yeah.
dream. Um,
You had been training since you were 5, and this was
yeah.
your future.
Yes, I was not imagining any other. And also in dance, I see it a lot, and this is very much what happened to me. It's like a drug. You get addicted, and it's just like so much imprinted in your whole system
Right.
that it's. I always say, once a dancer, always a dancer. So even if,
Yes.
and this continues for me a lot because even if I don't dance professionally on stages as a performer, I just very much feel like a dancer. And also I still dance, and even I recently came back to take ballet classes, which gave me so much joy. And I could actually feel it, how all this body literacy that I gained, and primarily thanks to the injury and the healing that I had to go and all the recovery, I can enjoy ballet pain-free.
You didn't just dance. You also said I dance, but you're a dancer. That's who you are. So when discouragement and loss happens at the level of who you are, that's when the loss of hope can set in. Would you say that you ever began to lose hope that you'd ever dance again? Did you ever get to that point?
Yes, there were moments.
Hmm.
I would never really admit it, but they were there. And also, what I want to mention is that, speaking of identity, and this is especially, I think, stronger for younger people, that I lost my friends group suddenly, like because I couldn't
Ouch.
continue. I was out of the a graduation performance. So everyone was preparing for the graduation performance while I was at the doctor's and not able to move. So I felt excluded, and I felt like loss of belonging to my peer group, which we were really close and friends.
And then who do you communicate with? I mean, when we are living our true self, like you are as a dancer, and then you lose your friend group, and you're not even sure if you're ever going to have that friend group again. You're not sure what your body's going to do, how it's going to respond to therapy. That's it, disenfranchised type of a loss. So chronic pain can ostracize us, and that's where we can begin to lose hope in not only the fact that we will physically feel better, but where will I be placed in this life? Who will I be with? Where's my support group? I don't belong anywhere else except for dancing. And that can be discouraging. But had you had any training on body mind, or was body mind birthed from that? How did you transition from your injury to what you're doing today?
Mhm. That's also a very good point. I now recall, luckily, I had support from my parents that also supported this whole treatment and this whole journey financially, but also
Mhm.
they believed in what I wanted to do. Because the thing is, and also I come from Europe, so some type of treatment you can get covered by insurance, but this kind of treatment that is so-called alternative, which
Right.
in that case not a surgery, right? This all had to be covered, all costs privately. My parents luckily supported it. And also how I found out about this center that helped me is some few other students from my school, from my university, who went through the same injury. And they were healed. So that at that point, they gave me this hope back, because they were already back dancing, and they were even in a better shape. Because what ends up happening, and this is what I can say after all these years, that before, when I was growing up, I very much often read or listened to interviews with older dancers that I looked up to from major world renowned companies.
Right.
And if you're pursuing this career for your whole life, of course you will be injured, probably not even once. So
Mhm.
all of them were saying always that, oh, injury was the best thing that ever happened to them. And at that time, I was just like, I mean, come
How?
on, like,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
I can say whatever, but there is no way I would believe this.
Yeah. Yes.
um, but well, few years pass, and I'm saying exactly the same thing. My dance education was very much already very at that time it felt alternative. It was very much like a lot of research and a lot
Mhm.
of like curiosity, and it was
Mhm.
pointing out already through the dance lens that body and mind are one, that this is connected. I was also already practicing yoga. I was practicing a lot of, in my university program, I was practicing techniques like Feldenkrais, like body mind centering, Alexander technique. I didn't really understand it at that point, and I was just like, it's like a easier class to just like chill a little, I save my
Right. Not much.
energy. I save my energy and I rest to really give it all in the proper dance classes.
Hmm.
But these ideas slowly already started to blossom in me. So when the injury happened, I was not completely foreign to this, but that was the turning point where I was just like, okay, like I just go in all or I go to surgery. So I was like, either I go in it and I believe it and I you know, just give it all and go with the process. Or I
Hmm.
knew the alternative, which was not an alternative. So that was just like, I was kind of like forced into believing. Or I could say otherwise, I was just giving the fertile ground, fertile soil to start believing and practicing these ideas.
And did you see hope arise again as you slowly got better practicing these things?
Yes, definitely. Once,
Mhm,
even after first session in this physiotherapy center,
mhm,
the pain decreased
mhm,
significantly. Then it was quite, so from like the peak of the pain to manageable pain, it was quite quick. But then, and this is where my work arose, and that was a further solve for my work and
mhm,
closing the gap. And that is already a lot of my personal work based on all these puzzles that I was giving on my way.
mhm,
Because then the pain became manageable, but it was not completely gone. And to me, it was too much. I was just like, there is no way I'm living with this amount of pain still till the rest of my life.
mhm,
Um, I, in my system, things changed that after I came back, I, I didn't want to be a professional dancer anymore. It just happened on its own. Because this journey, it took me a year out of the program at the university,
mhm,
and I just experienced such a different life.
mhm,
And because I was always sleep deprived, and one of the things I just started to sleep more, and I was like, wow, I can think clearly, you know? And I just started to enjoy this too much. And also, I was
mhm.
like, hey, you know what? Actually, I want to walk when I'm 40, and I don't want to sacrifice my youth and my body to dance as it is as I knew it.
Events in our life can springboard us into where we are to be next. So you were a dancer, you initially hoped to dance again and professionally, and then you went through this and it changed your trajectory on where you want to go with your talents and your gifts. And you now help people because of the injury that you went through and because of the process that you through. Now you have a new identity. You're a helper. You help those who are going through this, and you can speak their language, Victoria, which is what coaches do. Coaches have gone through a difficult time and they've surmounted it, and now they want to share that with others.
Yes, exactly. And but that was not an easy journey. Now I said it that way that, oh, actually it was quite natural. I just didn't want to dance anymore.
You,
Well, actually there was more to it. It was not that I didn't want to dance. I was also that's like actually a trauma, right? Like it's also a
mm,
lot of like
a
trauma
loss.
response. Yes, so and also I didn't really have anyone to talk to, so that's why I think your work is so significant, so amazing, so important because
Mhm,
as you say, a coach is someone who is relating to client's experience. So if you can just be with someone who is going through loss, which is very, I have a feeling that it's very overlooked state, very overlooked emotion because it's not really sexy, I would say,
mhm,
grieving or going through loss. Uh,
mhm,
in the society that we are in, that is just very much so like push, 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 and going, 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 and always doing, doing, doing.
mhm,
They, especially this kind of emotion requires just to be with it
mhm.
and just to really give it time. And
Right.
requires to just sit and cry for hours sometimes,
Mhm,
for days, and it's okay. But we don't really have time for this. So it's really important to have this kind of conversations
mhm,
because ultimately loss and grief is an inevitable part of
mhm,
life. Uh, as I also learned
mhm,
myself already many times, this one is one of the major ones, but um, we're losing something all the time. We already lost the previous second
That's right.
of our life.
That's right. When we lose something that we're deeply connected to, it leads to grief. And you were deeply invested in dance. And even though you still dance for freelance and you still do it to feel good, you're not professionally performing, you're able to use that for good and to help others. some of the people that you help, have they been going through pain for a long time, Victoria?
Usually the moment of contact is usually already the moment of, okay, I tried everything.
Mm,
I do anything.
mhm,
I believe anything. Okay, I just wanted to stop. And even my recent client, she contacted me again. And Lisa, I would not believe if I didn't know what she went through. I would not believe that this is the same person.
really?
But speaking of loss, ultimately she had to allow herself to slow down. So she even
Mhm,
continues with the same career in the corporate,
mhm,
um, but she had to do these internal adjustments. And right now, she's unrecognizable. She was already with her lower back pain and also a lot of mental issues. She was on the edge. And now you would never say that she went through what she went through.
wow.
So it's a lot
With
of
coach
like also losses of our identities that we're so attached to. Like, I'm only a dancer. I was attaching so much worth to it and
mm,
my self worth, like my self validation. So, who I am if I'm not a dancer?
yeah,
If I'm not this over performing corporate employee anymore, then who am I? If I'm not
right.
this exhausted and overperforming dancer, then who am I? So that's again like people like you create this space for people to be able to answer these questions in the safe environment. Because to be honest, when I was going through my injury, I didn't have these tools to help myself and to even answer these questions and know and understanding better, um, because there was a lot of suffering. So I could easily cut off a lot of this suffering by knowing just how life goes, that it's gonna be constant loss, and that um, that it's possible to release some attachment to the identity, and so on, so on.
When you have a chronic illness or a chronic pain situation, injury, it affects your identity, it affects your connections with other people. And then again, you're wondering, where do I go next? And grief coaches are always looking into the future. So you have a client who comes in and they're probably at that point, what do I do next? Which is a perfect opportunity for working with a coach of any type. When a person comes to you and they're in chronic pain and it's in, what is one of the first things that you do with them?
Teach them how to relax.
Oh,
It's about regulating your nervous system, being able to self-regulate your nervous system. So I focus a lot on breathing, and what we discussed more in detail in previous podcasts is just getting to the body and really
mhm,
anchoring everything in the body, because this is the thing that it's always there, and that's something you can learn to control so that it works in your favor. So always
mhm,
breathe as slow as you can, and this is how you start learning to listen to your body and to finally hear it and to start understanding, to have this connection. And this is when the body mind connection happens, and so that you can really read the signals and just make it a natural dance of life.
mhm. I really like the breathing exercises too, Victoria, and I use it as one of the first steps in my modalities is because it gives that person that initial victory and it shows them that I do have control over this. I'm not out of control. There are things in my body and in my life that I have control over that can actually help me. And breathing is one of them.
I can challenge everyone that you come and you can feel the relief after a minute, after 5 minutes maximum. You will feel the relief if you
Hmm.
intentionally start releasing the tension and you
Hmm.
start relaxing. So you can feel the pain release immediately. That's not any magic. It just has to be intentional, and it just has to be directed. And you just have to know that it's actually possible. Because the first thing, these are very simple things ultimately, but
Right.
they are not taught anywhere. And even for me, it took me like last 10 years of really a lot of research, because as I mentioned, like this last phase of going from the decreased pain to real pain free, this is where I traveled the whole world and I took many different courses from many different modalities, and nothing was working. So I was always like, okay, no way I will be living with this pain. I was like 26, 25, I was not even 30, and I was already in chronic pain. The size of the challenge that you have to face then is equally proportional to the size of the reward that you're getting.
I believe that.
Yeah, so right now I am living in pain-free body, and being able to teach this to people is something that makes me the last harbor that people arrive to, because that seems unbelievable, right? I'm always saying it's not that you never feel pain. It's like the same with the emotion. It's not that we never feel the uncomfortable emotions, because pain, ultimately physical pain, is just discomfort, right? It's some tension, some lack of space. So it's not that we're never going to feel it. It's that we learn to go through it. So ultimately, it's just like everything can flow. So there is less and less traction, and therefore less and less real pain that goes into suffering. Like we can completely start decreasing it. So the default state is relaxed and pain-free body. That's completely possible and available for everyone if you learn to manage your body-mind connection. So if something is not going right in your health, if you're in chronic pain, chances are your business is also sick. Your relationships are also sick, right? So it all has
Right.
to be, that's why it's holistic, right? Like it's all connected, and that's why it all has to be in as much balance as possible. And this is where coaching comes in.
Victoria, how can people work with you?
You can apply for my private coaching, and you can also meet me personally for the next 5 months of the European season in Crete, in Greece. And for the time of the European winter, you can find me in Costa Rica. And all my informations are on my website, which is victoriaherczek.com, which is in the descriptions box below, as well as I have a gift for you. You can download my freebie. So just click the link in the description box, and you will receive a 3-minute stress relief practice that works instantly, and you will feel more ease in your body right away. And you can also book a consultation call, and then I'm happy to direct you specifically, because as we spoke, everyone is unique. So I am glad to have a conversation with you and find out what's the best for you.
You also have a YouTube channel. I'll put that link. I'll put your Instagram link there too. Is there anything that I missed?
That's it. Everywhere, Victoria Herczek, and you can find me and contact me everywhere there on all the
Wonderful.
socials.
Best wishes to you, Victoria.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa.